So welcome everybody to this live meeting. Thank you for attending the actual live one. This recording is a second recording, as the recording from the live meeting itself actually got corrupted, so I couldn't publish that one, so this is it all over again. So hopefully we won't miss anything that was in the live meeting. Again, like I said at the end of the last one, if you do need to ask any questions, then just email me. I haven't got a problem. So if we show the desktop, I'll just remind everybody of the setup. We've basically got a VMware on my laptop here, running 3 machines: a domain controller, SharePoint, and Exchange, in just a simple domain environment, so that we can actually run SharePoint. And then here is our SharePoint site. As everybody can see, it's the basic one. No customization. We don't need that for any of our live demos, so it's literally the out-of-the-box experience. Over here we've got a few lists that we will use for our demos. Basically, staff details one is a list of staff with their usernames, their actual display names, and then what department they're in. You'll see why we use that in a minute. And then on the ICT faults list, we've basically got some categories of faults, their actual fault, and then a member of the IT staff that they are assigned to. Okay, so we'll be using those through the demos. So what we're going to do is create a basic ICT help desk using InfoPath. We've got InfoPath down here, so we'll open it up. We're just going to do to a SharePoint list, so everything's going to be stored in a list. Click on the design form, put in the site that you want to connect to. In a normal domain environment, you won't need to put in the password, but because of the way that this laptop's set up, it asked me for a password. There you can see we're going to create a new SharePoint list in this case. You can see here the list that already exists, so you wanted to, you could connect to that to do a nice InfoPath form for them. But we're going to do a new one. Call it ICT Help Desk. And at that point it will go away, talk to SharePoint, and upload the list to the SharePoint site. And basically what we get is a very, very basic form with a title in it and a place where we can put attachments. We don't need either of those at the moment, so we're just going to click on there, highlight all of it, and delete absolutely everything. And then what we can do is go to the Insert tab on InfoPath, and we've got some sort of layouts here that we can put in. We're going to put this one in here, which is just 2-column layout. Put a nice title in, so ICT Help Desk. And the first section that we want to do is actually the staff details, so the person that's actually reporting the fault. So what we're going to take from that is we're going to put the staff member, and we're going to want their department that they're in. And we don't want this this row here, so we'll just highlight it and actually delete that row. So what we want to do is staff member and department, and what we're going to do is just add in 2 simple text boxes. So we go back to the Home tab, and in a text box, as you see, it's called Field 1. If we double click the Field 1, and we'll put Reporting Staff, and we'll copy and paste that so that it's actually in the it's the same for both display name and the name of the field itself. Now what we want to do at this point is click OK, and we're going to put in a department, so we're going to put the text box in for department as well. Do the same again, double click Field 2 and highlight that and copy it so that they're both exactly the same. Now at this point we could, in fact we will publish that form to SharePoint. It will go away, verify everything's okay, that it can go on there, and publish it to SharePoint itself. Okay, so that's done. So let's go back and look at, just give that a refresh. You can see now our list has appeared in here. If we click on that, go to add new document, and there you can see our two fields that we can actually highlight and put data into. Now the one problem with that is that that requires staff input, and as we all know, not everybody is a perfect typist, so you could get errors in there and all sorts. So what we want to do is actually use those lists that we've got in the already to actually get the data into those two fields without requiring any input from the user. So for staff member, what we're going to do is double click on the actual text box, and you'll see we've got control properties up here. If we click on control properties, in this box here we're going to click on the function button, and we're going to put a function in here to actually extract the username of the person that's actually logged onto the system. This way we're not expecting the user to actually put any data in, and it does mean that there won't be any errors. So if we hit insert function and username, click OK, OK again. Now the one thing I would draw your attention to is this tick box just here. We actually want to take the tick out of there. If we left it in, then basically every time the form was opened, that value would refresh, which being as this form is going to be opened by a member of the IT team, that will mean that their username would pop into that field. So then your analytics would all be all askew because you couldn't search for how many times that person had actually put a particular fault request in. So click OK, and that's that. If we do a quick publish, we go back to here, click add new item again, you'll see that it's pulled in. I'm logged in the system account, you'll see that it's pulled that in. The only thing is though, I can actually delete it. I don't really want to let the members of staff do that. So let's go back to the form again. Again, we've still got control properties up here. If we click it, go to display, and one of the options is read only, which basically means that the user can see the field but can't actually change it, which is ideal for what we want it to do. The next thing is department. Again, we could let them type it in, but you'll have errors. You may have a fixed list of departments in your organization. So for this, we want it to automatically pull in data from that list that's got the departments in. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a data connection to this info path form. So we click on the data tab, go to data connections, click on add. We're going to receive data and click next. Now as you can see, there's a long list of what you can actually receive data from. SOAP and REST web services, so if you want to actually receive data from things like the user profile service of SharePoint, you can use either of those to get that information out. The database, you can pull in information from a database, in this case only SQL, and you can also use XML documents to pull data in. But what we're going to use is the SharePoint list. Click on next. There's the site we connect to, so you can pull in data from a different site collection or site altogether. Click next again, and we want the staff details one, which is that one there. Click next, and we want we'll take in everything, title and all the departments as well, because we'll need some of these later on when we start to do workflows. And we'll click next and next again. Now on this screen there's this tick box here which says to automatically retrieve the data when the form is opened. Now for the list of the size that one is, that's fine, because what that does is actually as soon as the form is opened it pulls that data into the form so that it's there for the user. That would not be ideal if you have a list of sort of over 1,000 items. That can slow it down and appear to the user that the form is actually not working. So it's better at that point to possibly take the tick out and then use rules in the actual form to actually pull the data in once you get to a certain point in the form. It's not in the scope of this presentation, but if you actually look on my blog, there's details in there of actually how to do that, or if anybody wants to do it and has a question, then again just email me. So we're going to click finish, and there's the information, there's the data connection, and then we'll click close. So if we double click that text box again and get to our control properties, we click on the function button for the value, and this time we're going to insert a field or group. We want the advanced view, and as you can see we've got two options now, main or staff details. We want the staff details, and we want to actually pull in the department. Now if we clicked OK at this point, how does it actually know which user it's looking for, which will therefore pick out which department? So what we're going to do is filter data. So we're going to filter the data, click add, and we're going to go and select a field or group, and the staff details data connection, we want the username to be equal to, select a field or group, this in the main connection, and we want it to actually equal the reporting staff, because that's where the username is pulled into. Click OK, and then OK all the way back to the main form. We'll do a quick publish, and click OK, and we'll go back here, go to add new item, and what we'll do actually is log in as a different user, so that it's someone that's in that list that's actually got a department assigned to them. Add new item, so there we go, A Richards, and as I said we've made that read only, so I can't actually alter it. But I can alter that, so we actually need to go back and make that read only as well. So we go back to the form, again we've got it highlighted, control properties, display, read only. Okay, so that's all that bit done. The next thing we want is to get from the user what the actual fault is. So we're going to put in another section. This time we don't want one with a big heading, so we'll go for this one, and we'll put a title in there for fault details. What we want them to choose is category and fault. Now for category, what we actually want is a drop-down list. So we're going to go to a drop-down list, and at this point we're going to edit the choices, and we're going to have email, and website, and mouse. As you can see, these mirror the faults, the categories that are in that list that's on SharePoint. Okay, so we've got those. We'll double click field 3 so that we can actually change the name. And then we want the fault. Now again, we want a drop down list. We're not going to do anything with the choices at this point. We'll double click the field 4, and we will basically select, give it a name, and click OK. So this we need to actually connect to the list. So again, what we're going to do this time is double click this, go to control properties, and we actually want to get the choices from an external data source. Now at the moment it's not there, so we're going to have to go to add, receiving the data, we'll go through this again, SharePoint list, from the SharePoint site, we want the ICT faults, and we'll basically have subcategory, the machine seems to have suddenly decided it wants to hang at this point. The subcategory fault and IT staff. And next again, and we'll leave it storing it in the form. And click OK. So we've basically got the data source. Got it in there. Let's go back to control properties. So what we've got is ICT faults. It's picking the data source out from there. But again, how do we actually get it to know which one it's doing? So we want to go to entries, and we basically want the fault. But at this point we want to filter the data, same as we have done before. This time we're going to go to select field or group. We're going to choose subcategory, and we want that to actually equal in the main connection the category just here. So click OK and OK all the way back. So let's do a quick publish and actually see if this works. Okay, so we've got username. We basically should have category, select email, and there you can see delivery, the two ones that are assigned to the email one. If we change this then, so we're going to decide website, then it will obviously change the fault. So there we made it fairly simple for the user. They can select category and fault, and that's fine. Now one thing that's okay, but one thing that's not on there is, what if we haven't thought of a category? What if it's actually not on there at all? So what we're going to do is double click our category option this time and edit the choices, and we're going to add in a choice for other, and we're going to put other type in box. Actually, we'll just leave it as other for now, otherwise it gets a bit complicated. And OK, and what we're going to put in here is a text box, and we're going to put other as the name, and click OK. Now what we want to do is actually make that a multiple line box. So we're going to click on control properties and display size. We're going to make it 80 pixels high, and then in the display we're going to tell that it's multi-line. So it's a nice box for them to type it. So the only thing we don't want is we don't want this box to be actually on the form all the time. So what we're going to do at this point is we're going to hide it. So we're going to put a rule in. So we're going to basically go to the manage rules, and we're going to say formatting, new rule for formatting, and we're going to add in a condition, which is basically we select a field or group, show the advanced, and we're going to say that if category is not equal to type of text other, then hide this control. Okay, so let's do a quick publish, and actually let's see if this actually works. Okay, so you can see it's not there, the box isn't there. If we click website, and we can choose from one of these, but if we actually go to other, the box appears, so we can the user can then type into that box. Okay, so there we are, we've put one in. Let's see if we can save it. No, we can't. And you probably guessed why, especially if you've watched the live meeting. And the simple reason is that we don't have a title. Again, what we can do is just drag and drop that one onto here at the bottom. We'll get rid of the text. Now we could let the user type into that box, but then we could end up with all sorts of titles which wouldn't fit our needs. So what we're going to do is we'll go double click it, go to control properties, go to the function, and what we're going to use is a very, very common Excel command, which is concatenate, which works perfectly in InfoPath as well. So we're going to concat, bracket, insert a field or group, and we're going to put the reporting staff in there, comma, insert, and let's have category, and a comma, and then we're going to put a function in so that it makes it unique. We're going to put the function now in, which basically pulls out the exact time that the form was loaded. Click OK. OK again. And we'll do a quick publish. So then if we actually load up, you can see there that it's picked it out, and as soon as I select a category, the title changes. I have a nice category title then, and if I actually go there, click on save, then it adds it to the actual list, which is great. So therefore, yeah, there's all the details, the forms been added, the reporting staff, the department, category, etc., etc. So what I'm going to do now is just add in the bottom section. So we're going to put into here another section. So we're going to put IT staff and status. And then finally, the last bit will be the resolution. So IT staff, we're going to put in a text box. Again, make the name both the same. Status, we'll have a combo box. And both the same. Click OK. And for the resolution, we'll put in another text box. But the same. Now for the resolution, we'll do the same again. We'll go back and make that a multi-line box. And we'll make it the 80 pixels high so that people can type into it. The IT staff, we want to basically pull out of the form itself. So control properties in a function. So depending on what fault they select. So if you remember the ICT faults list, it's got an IT staff assigned to a particular fault. So we go insert field or group, show the advanced, and we basically want to pick out the ICT faults list, the IT staff, we're going to have to filter that data. So click Add, select field or group, fault is equal to select field or group in the main one, fault again. Click OK all the way back. Okay, and the status, we'll double click, go to Control Property, Edit Choices, and basically we're going to have open, ongoing, and closed. And if you want to set a default value, then basically we could set the default value in here as open. So if we do a quick publish again, click ITT Help Desk, add new item. So you see it's put the status in as open. We'll select email and delivery failure, and as you can see it's straight away put the IT staff in who's assigned to that actual fault, and we can click save, and that adds that to the list. One last thing, we've left that as editable, so that it may be that the staff member who gets it originally can't fix the fault and you may want to change it. You could make it a drop down list again, choosing from a list that you've created on SharePoint. One last thing which people seem to like is to basically put a button in. And if we double click and we select it as submit, and we'll put it in the middle of the form as well, and basically when the user gets to the bottom of the form they could click submit and it will add it to the actual list as well. One other last thing is, you've probably noticed, as the forms have been submitted you don't get a message to say it has. We obviously know it has because you can see the item going into the list. But if you go to File and Submit options, go to Advanced, then one of the options is to actually show a message when the form is submitted successfully. You can also change what happens after submission, so whether it closes the form, opens a new one, or leaves it open. So we'll publish that. Go back to here, add new item, select the categories, so we'll have keyboard, missing keys, and click submit, and we get a nice message saying the form was submitted successfully. The one thing I will show you at this point is the fact that when you've submitted the form, SharePoint's default behavior is to take you back to the original list, which you may or may not want your staff members to see. So what I'm going to do is just open up a notepad here, type in the address of the list, so http SP 2010 lists ICT help desk, and I'm going to put new form.aspx, which basically is there are three types of forms for lists in SharePoint: edit form, new form, and view form. And they do exactly what they say on the tin. You edit, create a new one, or view one that's already existing. So what we're going to put at the end of that then is a question mark and a source equals http SP 2010. If I copy that, put it into here, as you can see the form opens up slightly differently. We're going to go for email this time, delivery failure, submit. Form submitted successfully, and it takes you straight back to the main page. So you can hide all those lists on the left hand side and then make the user go back to the main page. One other thing to consider is that when a staff member from the IT department gets the email to say they've got a fault, how do they know to open the form and alter it and add in the resolution, etc., which one it is? As the list gets bigger, that gets even more difficult. So what we're going to do, I'm actually going to show you the list settings. Also the view, so that the ID appears in the view, which it normally doesn't, and put it at the front so we can see it. So there's the ID, just four, straight numbers. But what I'm going to do here is change this so that it's basically edit form.aspx ID equals, let's go for number 2. So if you remember that number 2 is email delivery failure. Highlight that and put it into there, and as you can see, it opens that form up. One other thing to consider is that you can actually double up. So we've got ID number 2 in there, and if you put an ampersand source equals HTTP SP 2010, highlight that, put that into here. Let's close that, shall we? So we're finished, and the resolution was user error. Click submit. Form was submitted completely, and basically takes you back to the main page. And if we go back to the help desk, you can see there that it's now closed and there is a resolution was user area. Now what I'll do when we come to the second one, I will show you how that actually works and how you can make the ID pick out the current list item for the user, for the member of IT staff. So that's the basics of creating the info path form. We'll use this form in the next session, which will be about SharePoint Designer and using workflows, which will take place on Thursday the 15th of December. And as this is on the blog, a link to the sign-up sheet will be there at the same time. So again, thank you for attending the main one, everybody that did. And if you do have any questions, then please don't hesitate to email me.